May as well go live then. I'm drinking a beer called James Squire 150 Lashes, which, yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure I'm the biggest fan of the name because it refers to the lashings that convicts used to get coming to Australia. So I don't know if you should really be naming a beer after that. But all right, it tastes good at least. So that's something going for it. How's everyone doing? I just got maximum working. It's always a bigger challenge than you might think. So let's see if it's actually working. So this is today's rig. Where's my alien? I'm not doing my job if I don't have the alien strategically positioned somewhere. Right on the VRM. Probably not. It's going to melt. We'll give it a nice little perch on top of the Nocta. There you go. That's something. Only 2:44 a.m. for you. Well, you can't blame me for your lack of sleep then, because you already screwed up your sleep schedule before I got involved. All right. Over 1.75 or whatever the magic number of RAM volts is set. I'll just do 100M run. I feel like I've been running a lot of GPU Pi, but there's a reason, and that's the new version of GPU Pi. Just make sure it doesn't crash out at batch 4, which happens a lot. Man, it's Friday night and I've had a really rough week, but I'm trying to get over it with, self-medication and a stream. So we'll see how that goes. Yes, tempers have flared. And why is my door open? Now I have an echo because my door is open. Great. Let me fix that. So in a house that's got all wooden flooring except the bathrooms, of course, it doesn't take much to generate an echo. Process hacker. If I knew what it was, I might have an opinion on it, but I don't know what it is. Okay, so we've got a run, we've got maximum set. Let's install Turbo V. I had the most bizarre issues earlier. I couldn't boot my pretty reliable Windows 7, my AM4 specific Windows 7 to the utilities. I thought, what the hell? Why is everything screwed up? And oh, this is 3 utilities. That would explain it. There we go. I knew I had it somewhere. I think my next stream upgrade is going to be, I don't like how shiny this is. Just now in the summer especially, it's like I'm a CG character or something. I need a bit of diffusion on this LED light on top of, like, whatever. My English is failing me. You can tell it's been a long week. Overhead of my head. How would you put it? Vertically higher up than my seated position. God, that was hard. And that's not even a very good way of putting it, but okay. It not only sort of semi-blinds. Oh, the Turbo V isn't in here? Oh, this is the AM5 OC pack. Mamma mia. What a rough start. C8, but it's maybe I should try and use the C8 tool. Let's see how that goes. Probably not very well. Yeah, this is not really going to work, is it? I mean, I have problems with Asus for so many different reasons. But the fact that they name their OC packs in such a way that I can never figure out which one's which, I think that ranks pretty high on the list. I mean, it's a first world problem, right? Like GTL for some other boards like MSI and Gigabyte, or you know, Command Center Lite from MSI and GTL for Gigabyte are not even public. So what am I really complaining about here? But in the realm of OC tools that are public, Asus is pretty bad because they just use these cryptic names, and it's like it gets to the point where I know I have a copy on my NAS, I know I have a copy on my USB stick, I know I have a copy on my laptop, but it's actually quicker just re-download it because I have no idea what it's named. Down to the thread. Okay, so the reason the 3000G is in the potential chips that I may run tonight is a very, very simple one, and I'll explain it. I'm mildly curious, ever since the new GPU Pi came out, whether or not, and I'm saying it probably isn't, right? Don't come back at me saying, oh, well, it's just full of shit or whatever. But I'm mildly curious as to how competitive it is versus the G7400. Because if you look, it's not even the top 50, is it? But that's old version. I think no one's really run it on new version. I thought I was looking at something else. Okay, let's just do it this way. Let's just see how far behind it is. Okay, now I remember. Quad cores are competitive because it's 5th gen, but 3000G is, one generation of Zen earlier. I'm too tired to work out, is it Zen 2, is it Zen 3, does anyone really give a fuck? My point being, no one has run it on the new GPU Pi. So there's this tiniest sliver of a chance that it may be ever so slightly, somewhat competitive with locked Alder Lake, which no one in their right mind really wants to run. So old GPU Pi on just Cascade at not even 5G is 9 minutes 49, and we have no idea if that's a good run. So that compares with, okay, it's it's pretty far behind, but what's the real clocks this guy is running? Because he's claiming 3.7, but is that really what he's running? Anyway, it was just one of those pipe dreams. I'm always looking for ways in which I can run a pleasant platform for globals rather than an unpleasant platform. Okay, he's actually running that. Okay, so I'm probably actually full of shit, but I'm still curious to see it on the new OpenCL, just because it would give me a reference point as well. Well, first of all, I have two 3000Gs to bin just because I own them and I don't only need one, just for future, just to have in my bank of chips. That's the first thing. The second thing is 3000G would give you some clue on other Zen 2 stuff as well. So if I'm trying to take I mean, I was about to say if I'm trying to take a juicy GPU Pi version 3.2 1B hardware first place on Zen 2, then that would be a reference, but I don't think there are any juicy ones. Let's double check. Hardware above 49 points is usually the cutoff point for anything that's worthwhile for me. I know it's different for everyone else. Okay, so I already have the 1800X. Yeah, so someone's rerun. So this will give a good clue. Someone's rerun the 5600X and taken the gold on ambient, and someone's rerun the 5950X as well. So that's something. Okay, so here's 5600X. Let's look at just the clock delta. So we've got new score, new score, new score, new score, new score, old score. So a gigahertz behind in clocks, but 8 seconds ahead. So it's you know, I mean, not that this is in any way surprising, but it scales. Now let's try and install Turbo V. But Barney, about Process Hacker, I don't think GPU Pi needs that kind of thing. Yeah, 7-zip. Actually, I was surprised at how competitive Verizon is in 7-zip, because you always sort of intuitively assume that anything that relies a lot on multi-threading or just compute. So GPU Pi is compute, but it also really benefits from threading, like, because it's perfectly threadable, whereas 7-zip isn't as much as GPU Pi. But yeah, surprised by how well that works on that generation. Google Drive can't scan this file for viruses. Well, I don't give a flying fuck. Just let me download the goddamn thing. I think there'll be, you know, my channel has always had a little warning saying this stream is intended for mature audiences, or whatever the verbiage is on it. But I think today especially, expect a lot of expletives. Fuck, I can't even say expletive. Fucking hell, I need to get it together. Okay, so I already have Turbo V downloaded 3 times, I've discovered, now that I know what magical version I need for AM4. Okay. I think I'm getting things together here. And now it won't eject my USB key. Well, great. Let's do some stuff. Turbo V 1.10.12, as opposed to, you know, the other magical versions that exist. I had the oddest experience on Twitch the other day where I was actually a viewer, which I don't do too much of. Girlfriend is asking about your accent. Well, I might fall for that question if I didn't know you for 6 years now, and you know damn well where I'm from. Just relay that information to your girlfriend. You're allowed to talk, you know. You don't have to sit and watch Twitch in silence. I mean, that might be what you're into, but, you know, for the purpose of communicating with one another, use English. Right. Look at me cracking myself up. You're not supposed to laugh at your own. Oh wow, working Turbo V. This is amazing. You're not supposed to laugh at your own jokes, right? It's like isn't it supposed to be some sort of like sign of arrogance or something? Okay, let's try 4.7 at 1.4. Is that realistic? Eh, all we can do is give it a go, eh? Um, okay, let's keep this. So these are my Zen 4 optimizations, both in terms of batch size, reduction size, priority, and tweaks inside of Benchmade. I'll just keep them in place, and then if and when we get to it, I may fiddle around with them. Why is it dropping display out? That's really odd. That's really odd. Oh, it's just a fancy way of locking. So this is my Crosshair 8. Third of these boards I think that I'm on. Okay, so the funny thing here was I need to look at the manual because it has an entry for a flexi key that you can set to like direct key, which is like, you know, that is like excitement territory because I hate having to smash the delete key. But I had a look around the PCB earlier. I couldn't actually find the direct key, like the flexi key. So it's all very theoretical at the moment. Okay, let's do 1.45, 6 load line, 140 current ability should be fine. Perf bias on auto for now. Performance boost off. Core ratio 47. Yeah, okay, so while we're waiting for that reboot, Crosshair 8 Hero Wi-Fi. Let's go on a voyage of discovery together to find this bloody key. It's under support. And then we consent to the cookies because that's really important when you're just trying to find a fucking motherboard manual. It's up here because, you know, why not? Let's go for the German one. Let's just be fancy. You know, the really funny thing is even though I'm German, I'm the worst person in the world for doing a German accent. So I'm just gonna not do an accent. So here's the Inhaltsverzeichnis. What are we looking for? We're looking for the motherboard layout, which conveniently is in English. Should we go to the before you begin section? Oh, here's the layout. Okay, let's see. Let's see how long it takes me to find this direct key. Okay, fan header, Q code, LEDs, another LED, RGB. I don't know what ADD Gen 2 underscore 1 is. Digi Plus is an IC, I imagine. Probit, reset, start, LED, fan header. I'm like a boomer. I'm like an old man going through this. See, I already saw all this in person. Just, you know, looking at the actual physical board. Retry button, safe boot, M.2, flashback. Is it like a double assignment of one of the IO shield buttons? La di da da. They're supposed to give you a little. Okay, how about a control F for safe key? Nope. Man, why did I make this stuff so difficult? Or maybe I'm just dumb, which is it's It's definitely a possibility. Okay, here we go. Flashback button. And a clear CMOS button. I don't get it. I'm starting to think it's actually just a bug in the BIOS and it doesn't have that button. That's what I'm thinking. She can't talk at the moment. Okay. I'd have a comeback for that, but let's not go there. Oh, we don't want this to turn totally deranged. Okay, so we're at 4.7. We're at 1.45. Okay. Let's try this. Now this is just in 100M. We want a 1B. Okay, steady on now, steady on. The thing is, what are we even aiming for in terms of time? I should probably have looked at that. Yeah, it's just not happy, is it? It's just not happy. What are people doing? What are people doing? Just ambient on an AMD quad. Yeah, okay, Ovis on a chiller, fair enough. So here's my old LN2 score. I'd like to beat that. I'm not seeing very many ambient scores, which is a bit of a problem. So I'll try to get Ovis adjacent, let's say. Come on, Hyrobot. I thought the Hetzner hosting was gonna do wonders for speed of everything. Okay, so 1.45 seems fine. We'll go 46.5. So the last system I had running on stream was the 7980XE 18 core globals system. I did some more benching on that post stream. I went for Y Cruncher. Where's my Discord? Come on, load up Discord. I don't like the fact that on ultra wides, actually, how do I bring up my Discord? I suppose I can. On ultra wides, your windows default to maximize anyway, and it's like I'm literally never going to want a window to be maximized. That is literally not a use case. I can't do that anymore. Okay. So I'm just trying to bring up my Discord. There we go. Very professional, I know. Well, not that far down. Man. I think I even have a command for that. There we go. Did my chat display die? So that's my block and my RAM. I knew it needed a repaste. So this is what it looked like. It just got so gunky under the copper. I don't know. I bought this chip secondhand, and it came with a copper IHS. It probably does nothing, but that's what I'm stuck with this chip. Just so goopy and gunky and clumpy and just not smooth. Not what you want your thermal paste to look like. And then, given the previous owner used liquid metal, I probably should be sanding down the bottom of the IHS. I should probably be sanding the core as well for good contact. But then after the repaste, I ran Y Cruncher, and I no longer had thermal issues, but it was pulling 920 on the watt meter. And I've got a 1200 AXI, and it wasn't happy with that. So I've now bought a I don't know if it's the 1600 T2 or P2. I think the better one, the platinum comes first, right? So it's an EVGA 1600 T2, I believe, which apparently has OCP up around 1800. So I'll be retrying. All that to say, I'm on air today because I don't want to mess up my mount on the X299 system, and I only have one working block. I should be okay. I should be 50 megahertz lower now. Indeed. And when I get a pass out, I'll have to look at temps. My Noctua is set to like turbo or whatever, so it should actually spin up if the temps are too high. But just would be good to double check it anyway. Okay, and I wanna compare to Ovis actually, which this is Ovis's run, so I'm only a second slower so far. That's not bad at all, and it would get me an extra like 10 globals this run even if it completes. So that's nice. What else have I been up to? Been watching a bit of the baseball. Glad to see the Phillies are through to the next stage. Even though I don't even remember who they're going to play. National League, who's left in the National League? It's a Texas Derby on the American League side. Texas Rangers versus Houston Astros. It's not Cleveland. Jeez, I'm not much of an MLB fan, am I? If I can't even remember who's left. Hopefully I'm not spoiling anything. Oh, Arizona Diamondbacks. There you go. So it's like a bi-coastal little series coming up. Oh, and of course the Rugby Union World Cup is on. And Ireland, my home team Ireland, are through to the last 16. I think I'm just going to keep on mentioning sports until someone actually goes, yeah, I'm also a fan of that sport. Any country cup stages I'm looking forward to? Well, I won't be benching any of them, so I'm. What do you mean? I'm looking forward to seeing them just like on a competition stage, like a page at the end, being like, "Oh, Team Italy or whatever did well there." I don't know. I'm not really a good like vicarious bencher. When I'm not in a comp, I don't really give two fucks about it. Okay, so we had a 1 minute 53 as opposed to Ovis's 1 minute 45. Okay. 1 minute 45. Let's just have one more look at the rankings. Why does it keep defaulting to... There's something weird going on. It keeps like bugging out. Okay, here we go. 1 minute 45. 1 minute 45 as opposed to 153. It'd be nice. I'm actually just... I could just end the stream here because I'm actually never going to catch Ovis more than likely. So I'm already at like the top position I can get using my current form of cooling. But let's continue and tweak anyway. That's kind of funny. Okay, there's one for the seasonal ranking and all that. Okay, 145. Bank it. And let's have one more look as to what... This is not an Ovis score. That doesn't look like an Ovis score, does it? You used 2M128. So we gotta test that for sure. 2M128. So we had a loop 10 of 56,795. That seems faster. What tweaks did he apply? I also sort of wonder, like, first of all, I wonder why I don't have a left right scroll bar. But okay, I'll use the arrow keys. Thanks, Windows 11, for nothing. Did anyone see that article the other day? Okay, here's something everyone can comment on. There was basically an article insinuating that the uptake rates of Windows 11 were so bad, Microsoft was going to push forward Windows 12 purely to like gloss over the fact that Windows 11 is like totally flatlining. I think it's good. I think it's healthy. Let it die in a ditch. It's a terrible OS. I can't say enough bad things about it. I have it. Anytime I have a really strong opinion about something like this, I try to like I try to prove to myself that I'm not just biased. So I have one of my 3 systems on Windows 11 just to see if maybe it grows on me or something. And yeah, if you customize the shit out of it and get an Explorer replacement program running, so all the features I took away in terms of taskbar placement and customization and all that come back, it's ever so slightly more bearable. But it's just, yeah, it's just a totally DOA OS. And of course, there's rumors about subscription model for Windows 12. Surface Pro, yeah, but that's not a PC, you know. Or are you talking about... That's a convertible, right? Wow, this is 4 seconds fast. This, of course, I didn't have the right view up, but this is 4 seconds faster than what we had before. I need to shove some of the stuff into old because I'm old myself and it confuses me to have all those scores that are from a different CPU. Yes, due to all current files, you piece of shit. Hey, so we had 53 and now we have 49. Let me take a note of that. 2M32 was 1 minute 53.x 2M128 is 1 minute 49.9. Okay, sweet. Okay, so I do have chat display. It just seems to get drowned out a bit by some of these white backgrounds and things. Okay, so 32 was slow. Now let's try 64. I wanted to check thermals. Actually, I haven't saved this bloody result. That's not smart. Okay, 70 degrees, plenty of headroom. Boom. AM2. Well, my first tip would be don't. Okay, well, 1 second. I'll just save the score and start a new run, and then we can talk AM2. So for those who are not aware, you know, AM2, AM2 Plus, and AM3 are all to some degree kind of interchangeable. So you can run. How does it work? You can run a lot of AM3 chips on an AM2 Plus board. So with because they have a DDR3 and a DDR2 controller, doesn't work vice versa. Every chip that is an original like DDR2 release, like that's its main RAM type or its only RAM type, obviously doesn't work on a board that only has DDR3 slots. For those who don't know, excluding AM1, which is a very special kind of thing, AM2, AM3, AM4, AM5 all refer to the DDR4 generation. So that's how you can kind of, sorry, DDR generation. That's how you can keep them apart. So AM2 is DDR2, AM3 is DDR3. But then we had AM2 Plus and AM3 Plus as well. AM3 Plus was just like this sort of bulldozer generation, you know, taking over from DNAB. AM2 Plus was the early version of DNAB that had only had a DDR2 controller. So in terms of benching, you're mainly talking about the 940 Black Edition, which is one of my favorite chips of all time. So yeah, I guess there was a refresh of the chipset and everything, but there's no big differences between AM2 and AM2 Plus. If you're really purely specifically talking about AM2 chips and not AM2 Plus, i.e. that means a quad cores came in with AM2 Plus, so we had a Gina and we had Deneb. If you're only talking about AM2, that's single cores and dual cores only. If you're just doing ambient benching, it's fun. It's definitely fun. It's just a pain cold because they never scale with cold. They sometimes inversely scale with cold. It's just not a fun time. I'll try 256 next. So yeah, that's an issue. In terms of DDR2 clocking, it's actually kind of fine because it's really straightforward. The IMCs aren't as good as you may know on LGA 775. So you kind of like, I'm trying to remember what I was running. You're running like between 550 and 600 megahertz. So between maybe even less, like let's say between 500 and 600. So effective, you're talking between 1,000 and 1,200. And then it's CAS. God, what do you even run with DDR2? CAS 5, I believe. I should look up one of my scores. What have I benched extensively on AM2? I think the 3800 Windsor rings a bell. I should look at my hardware library. Or was it the 3200? Wow. Harborbot is really slow today. What's going to finish first? This or... Oh, there we go. 939 Windsor. Yes, yes. Exactly. I've run 6400 plus, of course. 1M. 1M will do, even though that's a cold score, so maybe I've relaxed the RAM. We'll have a look. Yeah, see, you're talking like cold, you're talking like 500 CAS 4. Yeah, it's a lot of CAS 4 actually, now that I try to remember back. The 5200, that's the one. See, what I'm really looking for is a Super Pi or something, not just these Mickey Mouse little benches here. There we go. That's the 32M I remember running off. On air, no less. How far behind am I with first? I need to rebench this shit. I sulk. Okay. Where air beats dice. Okay, those are some fighting words. So there you go. You're starting to get an impression of what's going on. Oh, this is on the Gigabyte board. In terms of benching boards that are good, 790X, whatever this one is, I can just read it off the screenshot. I don't have to remember it. 790X UD4P, a really solid board. Or you've got your M2RS and M2RSH 790 LAN parties. Just remember on the UD4P, you gotta be on the F9 BIOS. The F10C, I believe, is what it's called, is optimized for Thuban and DNAM. I think not for this core anyway, for Manchester and Brisbane and all that. And the last thing to mention about AM2 is it's closely related to 939s. The later generations of 939 are more or less the same. I think maybe even the same microarchitecture as AM2. It's just that 939 is DDR1. So we actually have a faster run here, which I find fascinating and fulfilling in some ways, because it means we've already found a better and we've only just started, a better batch and reduction size combo than OVAs, and I'm not the biggest fan of OVAs. Let's leave it at that. So 2M 256 is a 1 minute 49.629 as opposed to the 49.9 we had earlier. And I should probably tighten my RAM. That would maybe be something that's worth doing. Okay, anyway. It'd be funny to see that in the screenshots. So yeah, I can't remember who was it. Exaberries, you asked for AM2 benching. Was that kind of covered? Do you have any more specific questions? Happy to help if there's a particular bench you want to know about, or binning strategy. I don't know. I mean, you can go into all sorts of detail with these kind of older platforms. There's all sorts of little tips and tricks here and there. M2NE, you're gonna struggle, because this, remember, this is so 939 pretty much didn't have any in-OS overclocking, unless you consider setting RAM timings to be in-OS overclocking. So AM2, in terms of the AMD side, was actually the first platform to have in-OS overclocking, but you won't have it with every board. You saw me, I mean, there's always clock gen, right? But I'm more talking about setting multi in OS, for example, which you would have seen in the screenshots I just showed you. Not this one, this one. See, there's easy tune. You can set VDIM, VID, you know, set a lot of things in OS. So that's another difference between the two boards, right? Like the LAN party won't have that; it'll just have clock gen. Easy tune has pretty much everything. But that's clearly board dependent. So if you're one of these people who doesn't mind doing everything in BIOS, you know, good on you. But ooh, even faster. We're on to something, guys. We're on to something. I like it. This has been a productive session. Can't wait to get some more LN2 on, so I can. Saying that though, my previous score, I got 5.7 out of it, but now Splave and Phantom K and Bullshooter are all in 5.3, 5.5 territories. So I wonder if it's heavier on the chip as well, because my chip isn't great, and I got 5.6 out of it. Did I save this? Probably not. Okay, so reduction size, continually going up in reduction size seems to yield results. So I'm going to continue to go up until it stops yielding results. That's how this kind of thing works. 2M 512 is 1 minute 49.309. Faster again. Jeez. So that was 512. Yeah, 512. So let's try 1024. Just go to town. You were wondering about clocks on LN2. Oh, 3.999. That first, unless the batches are going to catch up, that looks like a horrendous first batch. It's supposed to be 3.7 something. Oh, thank God it's Friday. Yeah. I think the Ireland game in the rugby is tomorrow morning already. And it's a quarterfinal. Okay, so the group stages, it's different to football. The group stages go right into a quarterfinal. So it is. Here's an education for all you non-rugby fans. Wales versus Argentina, Ireland versus New Zealand, England versus Fiji, and France versus South Africa. First two matches are tomorrow. Other two matches are on Sunday. Very interesting. And Ireland is the late match, so it starts 6 a.m. my time, which is somewhat civilized. I may actually get to watch a good chunk of that. I wonder. I actually wonder how the betting markets are treating this. Not that I'm a bettor. Don't bet. It ruins your life. But I just like to see what the sort of odds are of which team they favor. Unsurprisingly, we're above 1 minute 54. Wow, that's really slow actually. That's slower than the previous thing I had. 2M 1024 is 1 minute 54.137. Rugby Union. It'd be funny if showing these odds was against the TOS of Twitch and it got me banned like inadvertently somehow. But let's hope not. Okay, Wales clear favorite against Argentina. What sicko would draws are so rare in rugby, right? Like what sicko would lay 22-1 for a draw there? Like you can see that draws are just unlikely because it doesn't depend on the teams that are playing. It's 22 to 1, 22 to 1, 25 to 1, 22 to 1. And the only reason it's 25 to 1 for England versus Fiji is because the likelihood of Fiji winning or being close to England is so bad. Whereas the other quarterfinals are really even. France, South Africa. France, that's surprising. South Africa is a good team. Ireland, New Zealand, 3 odds on for Ireland. Wow, that's... I'm not sure about that. Even in an off year, the All Blacks are a crazy good team. All right, let's try 1024. So for those who are not as familiar with GPU Pi, very often I wouldn't even say very often, like pretty much in every single case, the batch and reduction sizes have to stay close to one another. So I went low batch, high reduction, and that kind of kills your efficiency. You need like a sort of symbiosis of the two values where I can see now that this is faster than the previous thing that I ran. It's still not fast, but it's gained me 100 milliseconds per loop purely by increasing the batch to be closer to the reduction. Hope to test it soon on cold. Nice, looking forward to that. I'm still struggling with cold bugs, by the way. I ran my 5350 GE for Team Cup and I could only get to minus 150. I previously ran the 5300G on a different board and I couldn't kill the cold bug. And all I can really set is high sock because the VDG, what is it called? VDG-IO and CCD, according to Sebi, I believe, don't exist on a monolithic die, which is what these APUs are. Whereas even the single CCD non-APUs are non-monolithic dies. Because how does it work again? The other CCD is like the cache or something. I can't remember. Oh well, a lot of them are just like split, right? Like the 6 core would be like 3 and 3, and the 8 core would be 4 and 4. I think. Oh god, it's so long since any of this stuff was relevant, really. Okay, so we got a better run, but it's still not great. 50.848. But let's keep increasing batch. Okay, so that's still getting better. I just don't know if we're getting better at a fast enough rate. Like we're eventually going to run out of batch sizes to increase to. Yeah, so we'll just have to see. Anyway. Yeah, okay, so what I was saying was, I can't even remember the guy's name now. But out of nowhere, I thought that the benching community was really small. But the other day I was on this. This is like a half an hour ramble. I don't know how I got so sidetracked, but I was on Twitch as a viewer, and somehow even though the Twitch algorithm isn't great, somehow I don't know how, but somehow it suggested a 0 viewer benching stream that I didn't follow and had never watched and hadn't even heard of to me, and I tuned in, and I must see if I can like look at a watch history or something. But it was like this Eastern European sounding guy. It wasn't, it wasn't Bill Zord, and he was repairing a GTX 560 Ti sock. I think he was like just reattaching a res or some resistor or something, and I was like, oh, are you new or whatever? And he goes, no, I've been benching for I've been streaming benching on Twitch for 5 years. I'm like, what the fuck? I thought the benching community was so small, but he didn't know me, so he must just like do his own thing. Because I'm like, I mean, I don't have any fucking illusions of grandeur or anything. Don't get me wrong there, but like, I would have thought, given how small the benching community is, everyone knows the 3 or 4 benching streamers that exist, you know. But obviously not. And then he really nonchalantly said, "Oh yeah, I think I watched one of your streams before, but it's a long time ago." I'm like, okay, funny guy. But you know, the more, I always say, the more the merrier. So that's starting to flatline now. I think I can maybe stop at 10M. Ooh, that looks fast actually. Just as I said that, that looks fast. Let's see if it keeps it up though. Let's draw some comparisons to our mate, not mate, overs. At batch 7, 34.1. Okay, I mean, that might still be fine. That's what's going to be the next stream. That's going to be the interesting thing. I'm not sure I'm going to have L on 2 next stream. And I also wonder, it may have to be another Friday stream because I have a big thing on work-wise on Thursday. So that kind of stops me from streaming on Thursday or Wednesday in a way, because got to be well rested going into it, and I'm going to be really fucking tired getting out of it. So maybe Tuesday or Friday are going to be the days. If only this bench was just a little bit faster. The sad thing is, I feel like I need a massage to like get my shoulder back into gear, but I only just had a massage a couple of weeks ago, which was shit and didn't last. It's supposed to last a couple of months, but you know. That is an excellent score. I'm glad I tried the weird combinations that nobody ever tries, because benchers are lazy these days. Okay, I'm definitely gonna save that. I wonder how many months of my life I've spent waiting for a CPU-Z window to open. Not only that, imagine all the mashing of delete keys I've done. I'm excited. Let's see what this 20M does for us. That looks fast. Oh my god, that looks really fast. Maybe the secret is just keep increasing everything, eh? What's everyone else benching? Anyone doing cheap ass? Interesting. How many keyboards have I killed? I can tell you. 0. This is still my original benching keyboard, and it was like a $5 buy. It feels terrible to the touch. It's got those soft dome, horrendous keycaps, but I don't care because it's got sentimental value. I've also got an original model Logitech MX518. And not the original model. I think the original one was just grey. This has that dimpled sort of look. And here's the remake. I like them so much. I should probably test other mice. I've literally not tried another mouse in like what, 20 years? You've been procrastinating on cheap ads due to midterms. I mean, I'm not going to condone that behavior, but it's probably better procrastinating on cheap ads and doing your midterms versus procrastinating on the midterms and doing your cheap ads. That doesn't have a good expected value. Ooh, another 300 milliseconds sliced off. I'm loving the way this is going. I don't want to like jinx myself, but it's like things are happening. Unlike many of my streams, things are happening. Always good to see a younger crowd involved in benching. As us 35 to 50-year-olds can't remain in the scene forever, you know. Talking about people remaining in the scene forever, I'm not sure what's going on with Arsanino, but it's a real shame he's not been benching. And yeah, he's definitely on the older side. I believe he's retired actually. Okay, what about 100M? Invalid buffer size. Okay. Okay. Let's not spend too much time on that. Let's try 1.5 V core at 47x. Oh no, let's continue our so-called efficiency testing. Let's go. Ooh. I don't believe, like, sometimes real time doesn't help much, but I don't think non-real time can ever really help. Oh, am I supposed to set unsafe here? So Ovis ran a Luft 16, and I don't think I'm on Luft 16, so let's try that. But then if it helps, the question almost becomes, do I need to try the stuff that's in between? Maybe that's even better, you know? Let's try that, and then I was almost gonna say it seems slow, but now I think it's on pace. Ginger, did you ever kill any keyboards in frustration or otherwise? It's always a question with efficiency testing. It's like I have a lot of other scores to reference now, so I don't want to increase the clocks, but I am getting the urge to tighten my RAM, up the V core at 50 megahertz, but I need to just keep it all the same reference points. G19. Oh god, I used to have one of those really expensive gaming keyboards with the big little flip out screen in the middle and stuff. Yeah. Excuse me. I think I'm almost at the point where if a genie arrived and gave me 3 wishes, one of the wishes would be free massages at any point in time for the rest of my life. And good ones, you know. I'm not talking happy ending, I mean actually digging into your back and getting rid of the pain points that you have before someone makes that comment. And that's actually ever so slightly faster, but not a whole amount. really negligible. I'm gonna try the lower reduction. Not too low, too much lower. No happy ending. What do you mean? Ooh, well that's low. Okay, I think I'm sort of at the end of the road here. Let's I mean, I can always kill some processes actually. Let's do that. I'm yeah, let's just do that. Always amazes me how slow restarts are on Windows. Yeah, look at that alien just chilling on the top. I can't believe that people talk about Christmas already. I wouldn't exactly say that my year went fast, but Christmas always takes me by surprise. Partially because I am a Grinch, so I never look forward to it. I never like every time I was like, oh, groan, you know, Christmas. What a waste of time. Okay, that seems fair. You gotta restart the comm service. Here's your PSA. If you're using Turbo V, you need to have the Zeus comm service started, or else you can't use Turbo V. Xmas starts December. Oh, and if you want to use, if you want to use Benchmate, it used to have a dependency on the workstation service actually, but now all it means is Windows Management Instrumentation, aka WMI. Come on, motherfucks! I hate Benchmate. Did it save the luff? It didn't save the luff. That's okay though. We'll just make do with this. I mean, if it was down to me, Christmas wouldn't either start nor end. It would just wouldn't exist. But next best thing is contain it to just 2 days. Are we giving people a Stevens's Day? Let's call it 1.5 days. Half of Christmas Eve and all of Christmas Day, and after that, it should never be mentioned again. Part of the thing with me though is I'm a shift worker, so very often, well, it depends on if Christmas falls on a weekend and all that kind of stuff, but very often I work on Christmas, which is fine because, you know, I'm a Grinch. I gotta start because the first batch isn't as indicative, so I gotta start taking note of batch 10. It's 54.3. It's been in the 54s all along, I think, but I think it makes a big difference if it's a 54.5, 6, or 3. A day of barbecue and booze, but what if I get 200% pay for my troubles? I get penalty rates, so I think that's a fair exchange of labor for compensation, don't you think? 48,652. That's totally flat to what it was before. It's time to increase clocks. I don't think we're gonna be eking all that much more out of it. Let's give it 1.5. Because it's a quaddy, I think we can push VCore on air a bit more than, I mean, certainly than the 5950X. Okay, I'm going to be cheeky and just bump the BCLK a bit so I get the flat 4.7. I'm a big fan of the flat 4.7. Making a life. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you know, I don't have kids or anything, so Christmas is more of a kids and family type holiday, and my family's overseas, and I'm not about to. I mean, I'd be very disinclined to traveling to Ireland in the rain and snow and fog and sleet and wet and whatever. When it's actually the middle of summer here in Australia, that's just not a realistic scenario, to put it mildly. Raz, what are we gonna do for Raz 35? I guess. Never warm in Adelaide for December. This is the place where it's like 1,000% humidity and a million degrees every December. Just so everyone else who's never been to Adelaide knows, it gets fucking hot in the summer. Come on, let's post this bitch. There we go. We've got our timings pulled in. We've got the higher fuck clock. I'm just gonna call it fuck clock from now on. Not FCLK. Ooh, defaulted to half. Bad board. That's not what we want. That's not what we want. It's down at the 1600 fuck clock. We want to sync our fuck clock with our M clock. That's what we want to do. Let's do it. Well, if I want to watch rugby at 6 a.m., I probably should be going to sleep soon. That's how that works, right? The fuck and the mount clock. Okay, I can get on board with that. Right, I've already raised my mount clock to 2000. Now let's sync our fuck clock with that. These chips do good fuck clock usually. I don't think I have to raise anything else. $62 is usually a good sign. 98 is an even better sign. 64 is an even better sign. Boom. Let's do it. Yeah, what should I bench next week? I mean, there are unconfirmed rumors that a certain new generation of hardware may become available next week at some point. But I won't be streaming that. I can tell you that much. Okay, let's see if our fuck clock is really synced up. So barring that, indeed we have what could be an expletive for U clock. Urine clock. I don't know what words exist in the in the thesaurus. starting with a U. Well, we've got our M and our F and our U clock all synced up nicely. Uh, 21,024. Let's do it. I expect great things. 1.702. That's the best I've seen. But we had a 54.30 something for batch 10, so we'll try and look out for that. Yeah, I don't know, eh? I just don't know. What am I gonna run next week? I mean, I'd really love to do the bezel mod on 478. The uterus clock. Okay. Let's see what's underbenched. I try to keep this. I think it's stream list. There we go. I try to keep this stream list reasonably up to date. We've got a 54.219 batch 10, by the way. So fuck clock did help. I'd be interested in, and this will give you a sense of what non-LN2 and LN2 streams I've done on the stream. That was a bit redundant. I think I should lay off the Skylake X streams for a while. 3 LN2 and 6 non-LN2. That's a lot. KB or Sky. What if I finally model myself around into running my 6700K? That could be interesting. Rocket, ugh, not the biggest fan of Rocket Lake. Clarkdale, maybe Clarkdale, maybe. Okay, so we have an ever so slightly run here, ever so slightly faster run here. Thermal 72. Sky on chiller. Yeah, solid idea. Where do we go from here? I guess let's have a look at cast 12. How we're shaped there. Does the tightening of the RAM help us, or is that just mainly a function of higher fuck clock? Have we got any Better Call Saul fans in the chat? No spoilers, but I'm about 3 or 4 episodes into the final season, which I believe is a 13 episode season. That came out in 2 parts. I mean, I didn't watch it original air date. I'm now watching it for the first time. You know, using certain means. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Oh, what about a Polaris stream? How does that sound? I've got a F9. If it's not YouTube, you don't watch. I think what he meant to say is if it's not OnlyFans, you don't watch. Let's throw in a safe boot. See what happens. Still F9. The safe boot implementation on AM4 was always wonky. I kind of wonder why they even have it. Let's do it. We cleared our bias. Now, in the absence of a direct key, we're going to mash the delete key and the F1 key. So it didn't like that, but let's try, you know, the other direction. What about that? A bit of pushing the F clock. What about that new advertising thing on YouTube? All along I was using ad blocker, but now there's a pop-up saying YouTube doesn't allow ad blockers. But see, they still want to get the views, so there's like a sign up to YouTube Premium button. There's a disable my ad blocker button, but there's also just an X, and if you just X out of it, you can watch the video. So I'm like, I'll gladly spend the time to press X once, because I ain't fucking disabling my ad blocker. I'm certainly not signing up to YouTube Premium. You can all just die in a ditch. Yeah, so it still works. They're maybe it's part of a multi-step rollout, and eventually they're gonna get rid of the X. Who knows? But as it stands, yeah, it's just press X and watch the stream anyway, the video anyway. Embrace the ads. I hate ads with a passion. Even as a kid watching network TV, I'd always flip through the channels such that I would never watch the ads. I just keep, if I flip to another channel and there were ads, and I watched that for a bit and there were ads there, and I sort of knew that the timing was such that the first set of ads on the first channel probably hadn't finished, I wouldn't go back to that and watch just half of an ad break. I go to a third channel and watch some of that, and then just keep it sort of a timer running in my head, where I just instinctively know when to return to the first channel in order to avoid all ads. That was me as a kid, like as a 10-year-old kid. No wonder I turn out the way I turn out, right? Well, that was mildly unsuccessful, to say the least. But let's smash DRAM, smash sock, loosen timings, and see if we can get high fuck clock out of this board. It's mostly the board, not the chip, I'd imagine. Let's go 4200. Let's see how it goes. Oh yeah, is that how old you are? You didn't have a remote control when you were growing up? Okay, here's a little known fact. The TV my family had when I was growing up also didn't have a remote control. My mum was a bit of a greenie, so she didn't want her kids watching too much TV, just like half an hour a day or something, and like you'd have to pre-approve what program were you going to use your half an hour a day on. But also the TV was I think it was, if it wasn't black and white, it was a very, very faded, very old, very cheap TV that didn't have a remote control. So it was the same thing. You had like these 6 metal push buttons that were pre-defined as channels, which is fine because there's free to air in Germany at the time. There probably were only 6 channels anyway, or even less. Just fascinating shit if you think about it now. Kids nowadays, they don't know how good they've got it. just waiting for someone even older to just randomly pop into the chat like Sniper Oz. Oh, back in our day, we listened to the radio. There was no TV. There's always someone older. My granddad, who actually, yeah, he only passed away this year, but yeah, he lived during World War II. He was a kid in World War II, and the little village my granddad grew up in, and my mom, Agda stories, yeah, that too. Um, there was no, oh God, the stories I could tell. Holy shitballs! I'll start with the TV story, and then I may continue on from there, but there was no such thing as network television. That didn't come around until like the 50s or 60s in Germany. But you still had TV in a way because the local pub slash hotel um, also had kind of like a function room in it that they would convert into a cinema on a Saturday night for the whole village to gather around and watch newsreels on actual film reels. Hazer Rock. So they watched the news on like 16 millimeter or 35 millimeter film. That's what things were like in the 40s. Um, but yeah, he also had the first landline. Like nowadays, it's funny how things go in circles because nowadays no one has a landline anymore. My granddad lived in a time where no one had a landline yet. He had a business, so he had the first land because he needed it for the business. He had the first landline in the village, this little village, and like the neighbors would come around and they would um ask my mom and like her siblings to like pass messages to and fro because no one else had a landline. So it was like, oh, would you mind um running over to me when such and such calls, and then they'd receive the call in their neighbor's house because that's the only person that who had a landline. Um, or it was almost sort of like I'm probably misretelling the story secondhand or third hand or whatever, but it was like almost like a booking system where it's like, oh yeah, old maid across the street is gonna use her phone at 2 p.m. and then at 3 p.m. lady next to us is gonna use it to recall such and such. Anyway, good times. They also had the first car in the village as well, and it was an Isetta. Okay. Here's for those who don't know. Here's an education for people. Um, has any of you ever heard of the three-wheeled car called an Isetta? There you go. It had like a 6 horsepower engine or something, like just some crazy low powered thing. Believe it or not, it's actually got two seats, one in front of the other in it. So in the little village that my mom and my granddad grew up in, the first car was this thing, which couldn't get up the fucking, it couldn't get up the hill. Yeah, exactly. Front door, front door. And the sort of steering column and everything comes out with it. So it's kind of like it's kind of pretty fragile if you think of it, because you kind of have to just step in past the steering column every time you want to drive your car. It was like barely better than cycling or walking because it was so slow. The top speed was nothing, and the power that the torque on it and anything you can imagine. Fuck off. La 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 la. 1955, does it say? So 236cc engine, 1 kilowatt, two-stroke engine. It's like my fucking lawnmower probably has a better engine than that. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but So yeah, first landline. I don't know about the first TV. First landline and first car for sure. Okay, so how is this bloody thing scoring? Not all too fucking well, to be honest. 48.5. Actually, it is faster. Okay, my mistake. The previous run was Oh, we can just look it up here. What am I speculating about if I can just look up the run? Okay, it's actually flat. It's actually the same score pretty much. Well, 3,000 faster. Oakley Oakley. What do we do next? An attempt at 7-zip just to see how it goes. Yeah. Well, there's your answer. Fridges. It fucking looks like a fridge. No issue seeing past the bonnet. Yeah, exactly. Your 18-volt drill has more power. Okay, we've got to now adjust our realities to 7-zip, which will be pretty heavy. Let's try 44. 1.4 might be a good starting point. And we call it, we'll be really innovative. We'll call it, we called the GPU Pi I can't spell. 2-core, 4-core. There we go. Yeah, the SATA. Oh, I got okay, it's 7.1 kilowatts, not 1 kilowatt. It's still 9.5 horsepower. Chain drive, that's right. It's got a chain. It's basically a bicycle masquerading as a car. It's even got a chain transmission. That's hilarious. That's so funny. Okay, 7-zip it is. Oh, I can hardly look straight anymore. 10:15 at night. That's like my bedtime these days. I'm an old man. Okay, so we've knocked 50 millivolts off of the voltage, and we've dropped down the CPU by 250 megahertz. Seems to be passing. Is the score going to be any good? Very likely not, but it'll give us a point of reference. Okay, how are the quaddies doing? My best 7-zip 4-core score is on FX, which is hilarious. Ooh, Yos down here. Interesting that the 3300X is so high. So we're at 47k, which is like 50 globals. That's not bad. 47.8. Wow, in this bench at least the IPC type, the efficiency basically of Zen 1, 2, and 3 seem all to be the same because we've got a 2500X score there, we've got a 3300X score there. I kind of want to be above all the ambient 3300Xs. It'd be weird if I weren't. What's this guy running? 16, CL16. That's weak sauce. Okay, let's just save the score. And then we continue. And the way we do that is 100 megahertz at a time. Nice and steady. Does anyone know how these batches work? I find it a bit odd that it just spits out numbers and no one really knows how to interpret them. It's funny that the decompressed side, so the left is the compressed side, the right is the decompressed side. Isn't that the exact same score I just had? What the hell, man? 40, no, I had a 47.8, 872, but it's now 48, 872. I mean, 50k flat should be possible under these conditions. Yeah, so I was talking about my stream ideas for next week. I'd like to go back to Polaris. I did that two gigahertz GPU Pi run on LN2 on my 480 RX 480 Strix, but it needs a cap repair. But I, in the meantime, pretty cheaply obtained a let's pre-bake in the 45 here. I obtained a 580 Strix, and I'd be curious to do some pre-testing on that, see how it goes on chiller, I guess. That's super loose fall on usual on most DDR4 platforms. Is kind of interesting. TRC 95. Holy shit. Do we have a boot? We have a boot. I'm starting to think these GEs are not the best bin in the world. What can you do? Okay, spit out a score, please. $50K done. Nice. Okay. We're starting to get places. So there we're talking first page 50. Overclocking nights. Not sure I'm going to get there. point in running Y Cruncher, is there? I will try to edge up the frequency a little bit. Before I do that, let's just try one little tick higher on the fuck clock, because we all know the fuck clock is important. Yes, kill the task host. God damn it. So bench drives. I bought some more bench drives actually, because there's SSDs now that are 128 gigabytes that are down to 15 Australian dollars, like under 10 US. It's like, oh, what do you want to do? You want to buy a coffee out somewhere? Let's say 2 coffees. Let's be fair, or an entire bench drive. And in that case, I probably always choose the bench drives. This could be interesting. Probably not from a will it post perspective, but more from a will it pass the bench perspective. AD 61 AA boot. Let's just have a little look-see to make sure that everything applied as we expected it to have applied. Sweet as. I'm never quite sure what 7-zip's JAMA is. People tend to run very high memory frequency, but it also reacts to timings. It's a little bit like X265, where you can run it. I mean, never run it loose, right? Like, that's just intuition. But even very high and semi-loose can be a lot slower than medium high and ever so slightly tighter. That is actually a worse result. Wouldn't you know it? Let's try real time. I'm curious. See how the usage percentage is always higher on the decompressed side? Like, it approaches 800%, which I would imagine would represent 100% CPU utilization on the 8 threads. That's on the decompressed side, but the compressed side is always a little behind. Maybe because the decompress uses all the CPU, I don't know, or just, it's funny, that pattern. Well, that was a lot better. Okay, so because on the 16 and the 18 cores, real time did jack all, but here it's looking like it's doing something. It's doing something. This'll do. Oakley dokley. Let's make a stab at a little bit more oomph. What's that weird display blanking? I just don't get it. Okay. We have a score. It almost didn't happen, but we do have a score. It could still not happen. I almost sort of get the sense that I should be using the iGPU. Yes, give her a hard reset. Let's perf bias. Perf bias. I'm thinking Cinebench aggressive. Let's actually drop back down because we didn't. Oh fuck! Why doesn't page up, page down work? 4066. There we go, and indeed, Cinebench aggressive, and we will also knock in the extra couple of megahertz. AA is, you know, what we want to see. I didn't like that extra bit of, so Windows boot is heavier than 7-zip, it seems. Or maybe it's just the perf bias kicking in. That's always a possibility. Okay. Just knock it down. Just knocking it down a little bit. So real time helped. We still have our perf bias set. We want to throw in. Well, I'll run it at 4.5 first to check the perf bias, but I'll run it 50 megahertz up as well. It's getting there. It always finishes on a 23, right? So this is not the finishing 23 yet. We need a 22 and then another 23. That's my prediction. Oh, another 22 and another 23. Exciting stuff. That just absolutely tanked it. Okay. We got near enough the 2 hours. Cheers to you all. What did we learn? What was it? Best batch reduction for GPU Pi on this architecture is 20M 1024. Loop on roll, jury's out. I haven't tested that, but that's for GPU Pi. Chip isn't great. 7-zip hates. Cinebench aggressive perf bias. And I'll still try it on Island 2. But I'm not getting my hopes up. Okay, Polaris next week. Thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe, and all that good stuff. Thank you. Bye.